I'm very sorry, y'all. I am a little bit under the weather, so I'm gonna be looking like I'm giving royal decrees, but we're gonna go ahead and still get through the news, god damn it. Whoa, welcome everybody to another episode of Fantasy News. I am your kind of under the weather goblin host Daniel Green with a tickle in my throat, and today we have some really nice cozy warm soup of news to get through. And nothing's gonna make this cold go away faster than some wonderful cover reveals, starting with one from Riordan collaborating with Mark Ashiro for The Sun and the Star, coming out May 2nd of 2023. I think my biggest surprise with all the recent Riordan news is just how relevant the guy has stayed. Obviously, the Percy Jackson books were huge when I was younger. I never personally got into him though, but the guy has a solid fan base that has stood the test of time, and every time he does pretty much anything, I hear about it because the fans are just pumped. So it's just nice and cool to see a positive fan base alive and well right now. But we're gonna slip on over to my favorite cover of the day, which comes from author Shannon Chakraborty. Pirates, magic, and a daring rescue, revealing the adventures of Amina al-Sirafi. Dyslexia disclaimer. I mean, you got me sold big time. We got pirates, we got adventure, and we got this sick ass cover. Not sick like me, sick in a good way. And this cover art was done by Ivan Belikov, and I love it. I was for a while buying into the whole like minimalist, all like white backdrop cover thing, but I started to miss the really bombastic, just stylized ones, and yeah, this one's fallen into my new craving really well. And there's a cover I should have covered last week that I like so much, I am bringing it into this fantasy news because I just hate that I didn't get it. I want to cover all the best covers for you. That's a lot of the word cover. But we have Dragonfall. Look at this bad boy. Oh! This is coming from L.R. Lamb and is being brought to you by Tor with the cover artist, Michaela Alenko. I really tried to get that right. I hope I got that one right because your art is awesome. I think we can all agree, no matter what era we're in, red and black just hits different. And you know my boys, girls, and thems over at Folio Society are gonna keep mining free use property for some awesome special editions. That's not meant as a criticism. I love when people go back to the stuff that's entered the public domain and give it a badass update. And they've continued the trend with maybe the most important story for modern science fiction, Frankenstein. Frankenstein. Mary Shelley's classic is getting a limited edition release from one of the best known special edition creators on the market. And maybe most importantly to the big Frankenstein fans in the crowd, they are specifically saying this is the 1831 version, so if you have a preferred version of the story, that could be a deciding factor. And for those of you who didn't know, yes, there are two versions of Frankenstein. The changes aren't that big a deal, but they do have thematic resonance that just somewhat shifts the context of the story. If you have a favorite one, let me know in the comments down below. I'm a pretentious douche, so no matter what, it's the original one I like. What's up? I'm sniffly. But alright, let's kick it out of the book news and get into some fun adaptation news, because we had My Father's Dragon receiving a trailer, and I'm gonna be honest, I didn't hear about this or the animation studio behind it until I started looking into this story. And these people have had some major successes before, and the animation on this, well, it's not the most like elaborate ever. It seems like something simple done extremely well, which very often in my favorite animations, that's the approach. This is a 5-time Academy Award nominated studio who brought you projects like Wolfwalkers, Secrets of Kells, and Song of the Sea. So that's really all I can say on that. I don't know more, but this seems really cool, and I'll probably be tuning in to at least give it a little look-a-loo. I like giving things little looky-loos. I'm a big old looky-loo guy. That don't clip that and take that out of context, please. That could be very weird without the context of stop. I see you doing it. Stop. No, stop. Let me get my shroud more in place here. Speaking of projects that Speaking of projects that just look really cool, Wild Hearts, the game trailer, has not the most flashy graphics ever, but it looks like they're incorporating a cool build type mechanic to the combat from both the baddies and the good guys that seems very Horizon Zero Dawn. Like, I don't know, I didn't love those games, so I'll probably just wait to see what the reaction is to this, but it's neat to see a giant monster go like, fwa-pwa-pwa with its tail, and a tree comes out of the ground. That'd be cool. Why can't that be real? It is of note, though, that this has a kind of surprisingly high dislike ratio. I'm not sure why, and I'm too tired to look into it. Let me know in the comments. below. All right, I looked into it because I got curious, and apparently from what I'm judging from at least the comment sections, it's hard to be like, this is what everyone's upset about. It seems like quite a few of the people who are disliking are doing so because EA is involved, and EA, yeah, I don't blame you for being a little bit like, dislike when EA is involved, but you know what you should do? Like this video and subscribe. Fun fact, if I get to 100 million likes on this video, my cold will go away instantaneously, so. Much later in the day, Daniel here to talk about a news story that quite frankly is really grinding my gears. Every now and then I do genuinely get handed a story that makes me feel like I should provide it more coverage, and it's actually important that more people learn about this now because it's not being covered enough by other news sources. And this is exactly one of those, and I'm talking about the show Pantheon. No, this isn't a recommendation. In fact, I haven't started the show yet. I'm going to because of this. That being said though, you don't need just my dumb opinion. This is a show that has 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, over an 8 out of 10 on IMDb, and several other reviews out there from prominent sources consistently calling it great. But now, apparently, thank you to this Discord user for bringing this to my attention, for 2 weeks in a row, AMC Plus has aired episodes for this show out of order. I'm actually just gonna flat out read this Discord user's reporting on this because one, I'm still sick and my brain is foggy as heck, but two, they did a really good job writing it up, and it'll really put in context how just frustrating this should make you as an audience and how infuriating it would be as someone who worked on a show that by all means is a success critically. TLDR, Pantheon is the best sci-fi show currently airing. I cannot say whether or not that is true. That is this person's opinion, though I'm gonna check it out though because it's a really high recommendation. And AMC Plus is treating it like a Peppa Pig spin-off just because it's a cartoon. I'm not sure how many of you are aware of it, but there's an animated show airing right now called Pantheon that is easily the best sci-fi show I've seen in a while. You can watch the first episode on YouTube and judge it yourself if you don't believe me. Will be worth your time, I promise. I know how I'm spending my Friday, what's up? The problem is there's quite literally zero advertisement for it, and it airs on an absolutely atrocious streaming platform, AMC Plus. It is available other places, I did check that, which means that an overwhelmingly small amount of people are actually watching it, and despite the fact that there is quite vocal community support and loving the shit out of it from a subreddit, is absolutely not getting the traction it deserves. That is not news in itself. A lot of really great shows unfortunately do just crash and burn. But the news starts here. And this isn't even the worst part. AMC Plus cares so little about it that for 2 weeks in a row, they published the wrong episode on their streaming website. Last week, episode 5 was supposed to air, and they put episode 6 instead. This week, it was 7 instead of 6. Now imagine being an animator, screenwriter, or in general, someone that worked on a total of 8 episodes of its first season for years just to get by a streaming service that absolutely does not give a completely ruining the experience of your already meager audience. I was 15 minutes into episode 6 before realizing there was really something wrong and spoiling myself for some biggest cliffhangers of the season. Yeah, this is not only deserving a spot in fantasy news in my opinion, I agree it turns out, but it would also bring absolutely needed attention to a show that could easily be the start of a new era of adult, okay, I don't know if it's that good yet. But they conclude their little reporting rant here by comparing what happened to Firefly, which for those of you who don't know, did have something similar happen. And I did look into this, and currently on the Pantheon subreddit, yeah, there's a lot of people confused about why they just had major points within the show spoiled for them, and there's even a tweet from someone who worked on the show. I'm actually surprised there's not a lot more. This is a really big screw up. Not only is it, yes, endangering the continued viewership of a show that is apparently not getting enough exposure, which I did check, and yeah, there's not a lot of advertising for this. It's certainly the first I've heard of it, but also having the problem happen twice in a row. I need to start talking about what the definition of basic competence is apparently. My God. And for those of you just complaining, Daniel, this isn't fantasy news, this is streaming service screw up news. 1, it's a sci-fi show, so it qualifies. And 2, this is based off of short stories by Kin Liu, so yes, it ties in even to the authors we love, damn it. I think the most infuriating part to my medicated brain in all of this is the fact that I am so tired of seeing these websites that report on this stuff constantly throw in a truckload of bogus articles alongside actual reporting that are like, oh, is Winds of Winter actually coming out next month? Maybe. No, it's not. When things like this genuinely need more attention. If it was just 1 week, I might even not cover it. You're like, oh, some intern screwed up, no big deal. 2 weeks in a row, that totally changes it and is just like, what the level of a mess up. Shows like this from conception to airing take years of people's lives, and screwing up the telling of the story is a big deal. I'll let you know what I think of Pantheon in the future here on the channel. Maybe it's not my cup of tea, but I am speaking from a place of ignorance in terms of the quality of content, but that doesn't really change the fact that, no, it's not really excusable for 2 weeks in a row to screw up the telling of a story people have spent their lives working on. If you've seen the show, let me know in the comments down below, and if you're curious to now try it, let me know too. But anyway, back to the stuff that's less medicated, Daniel. And in Marvel news that's so big, I have to cover it. Hugh Jackman is apparently going to be in Deadpool 3 as Wolverine, and I'm calling it now, putting the little mark here. He'll be in it a good amount, but a lot of the jokes are gonna be about his age because he looks a wee bit old now to be playing Wolverine, though I don't necessarily agree with the crowd saying this like ruins the send-off of Logan, especially because Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman both said, like, no, Logan is still canon, that's the end of the character, so timeline-wise, this isn't gonna take anything away from that. It can put a sour taste in your mouth, I totally understand, but I'm somewhat overweighted by that, by just seeing Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman interact. Their friendship is funny, and I just want more funny things in my life, because I need some good laughs right now. But this isn't gonna be right now, it's gonna come out in 2024. Oh, I'm fading fast, but don't worry, we have just a couple more stories to get through. Man, I really want to get to that Doctor Who news. It'd be great if some random guest host could show up to finish off the news. Oh no, it's just me? Okay, well then let's talk about the Last of Us trailer. It dropped and seems to be nearly universally approved by fans in what the trailer presented. It is of course appropriate to still remember trailers can lie. There's all kinds of trailers out there that are edited by studios to just present storylines that don't even actually exist in the show. But with how many like shot-for-shot scenes from the game are in here and done pretty well, fans seem to be excited. If you'd like to see me and Kayla's full reaction, I as someone who's played the game, she as someone who's not, you can check it out on the second channel right there. We had a really good time fun with that, and people said we're cute together, and I agree. Oh man, if there could just be a guest host who would save me.
Daniel, teching here. Good news! I finally got my Roman Gladius in the mail today. So you and I can finally climb that mountain, slay the Goblin King, and claim the crown for yourself! Holy crap, you look like shit, dude.
Thank you.
Alright, you know what? Tell you what, we can reschedule the whole Goblin Slayer thing. I'll cover the rest of fantasy news, and then we can work on that another day. Hope you feel better, man. Alright, so we got a couple of stories here. The first of which is Interview with the Vampire. Ooh, spooky. Is going to be released this Sunday, October 2nd on AMC and AMC+. Personally, I have never read the book by Anne Rice, nor have I seen the movie in '94 of Interview with the Vampire, but I'm a huge fan of vampire fiction, and when I was watching Better Call Saul, when that wrapped up, that was on AMC, they were playing a bunch of trailers for Interview with the Vampire, and I'm like, man, this is looking really good. Jacob Anderson is in it, who played Grey Worm on Game of Thrones, and so like, okay, I really want to check this out, because, you know, I love everything vampire related. I just finished up all of Buffy, like, this year, so I was looking for something else vampire-oriented to enjoy, so I'm definitely going to check that out. Created by Roland Jones. Next up, we have Jodie Whittaker, the 13th Doctor, departing, okay? So this is something that we've known for a while now. Ncuti Gatwa has already been announced as the 14th Doctor. Russell T Davies is returning as the showrunner. Typically what I will do is I will watch like the episode where the previous Doctor will regenerate into the new Doctor, because those are always like the best episodes of their whole seasons. And then I will, you know, keep with the new Doctor for a little bit. And I've watched a few episodes with Jodie, and I have to say pretty much every episode I've seen with her was really good. I saw the New Year's special a little while ago. I saw the Kerblam episode that was like the parody of like Amazon, the ones where you know, Captain Jack came back. I thought those were really good. So yeah, Jodie, though, like most Doctors, after about 3 seasons, I think like you know, David Tennant pretty much set up that standard 3 seasons, and then they, you know, regenerate and they move on to the next actor and everything. Chris Chibnall is also leaving as the showrunner, so he was the showrunner just for Jodie's season, and now he's leaving, and so Russell T Davies is actually coming back now, who of course was the showrunner, you know, most famously when the, you know, when the series got revived with, the Ninth Doctor, Christopher Eccleston, and then the 10th Doctor, David Tennant. David will also be returning to Doctor Who, but not as like the new Doctor. He'll be returning for the 60th anniversary, which is scheduled for next year. This episode where Jodie will be regenerating, she just stated that she did her regeneration scene in one long take. This is pretty standard. The last few Doctors, at least Matt Smith and Peter Capaldi and now Jodie, have all basically regenerated with one big monologue. My favorite was actually Peter's, and it's funny because Peter Capaldi, fantastic Doctor. I just haven't seen that many episodes with him for whatever reason, but I thought he was a fantastic Doctor, and the way he regenerated into the 13th Doctor, into Jodie's character, was he was basically just alone in the TARDIS, just dancing about and just like, always remember to be kind, Doctor. We gotta get a few things straight. So I love that monologue that he did. Matt's was also amazing as a send-off to the 11th Doctor, which is my favorite personally. And David didn't really do a huge monologue. He basically just went and he did like a farewell tour. It was actually very silent for the most part. He didn't really say much, saying goodbye silently to all of his former companions, going into the TARDIS, and then just very dramatic music, and then just like, I don't want to go, and then he just, regenerates into Matt Smith, right? Chris had a really good one too. It was actually a really underlooked one because he was only the Doctor for one season, but yeah, not as into Doctor Who as I used to be back in like high school and college, but I'm certainly going to tune in. It's going to be in October. It's going to be sometime, and it's the title was actually leaked as The Power of the Doctor, so I'm really excited for that. Okay, so great send off to Jodie, hopefully, and wish her the best of everything she has coming up after this, after Doctor Who, and Ncuti Gatwa coming in as the 14th Doctor. I think he's going to be fantastic. Haven't really seen anything he was in. He was in a show called Sex Education. Haven't seen it, but I saw an interview with Matt Smith, and he's really, excited to have Ncuti, join the cast, and so we'll see where that goes. Finally, we have anime news, because I don't know if you know this, I talk about anime like occasionally on my channel, Teching 101. Mob Psycho Season 3 is going to be released on October 5th. It's going to start, being released then, and anyone who hasn't seen Mob Psycho, it is originally based off of a webcomic by One, who is the same mangaka that did One Punch Man. Now, between the two, like, One Punch Man is really solid, and I've talked about One Punch Man on my channel before, more than I've talked about Mob Psycho, but I honestly have to say, I enjoy Mob Psycho's story way more than One Punch Man. I mean, One Punch Man is really epic, and it's really cool, and like, the fight scenes are insane. The first season, animated by Studio Madhouse, was incredible, but I really love the story and the characters of Mob Psycho more. It's more of like a coming-of-age story and how to handle, like, your emotions in, like, adolescence and that kind of stuff, and Mob's character is so interesting in that facet where he literally cannot express his emotions, because if he does, it could really result in, like, negative consequences for those around him. So I really think it's a much more, like I said, character-driven story. The last season, which should be the last season given by the trailer, is going to be released in October. So go check out the trailer for Mob Psycho Season 3. It's going to be insane. And it's actually, I haven't really read that much of the finale of Mob Psycho. Like, I know how it ends, but how we arrive there, I actually kind of, like, I was going to go back and reread it, but considering that the, Season 2 happened and then Season 3 was definitely going to be guaranteed, I was like, you know what? I'm going to hold off and see where this goes, okay? So I was spoiled, unfortunately, but yeah, for the final, season of Mob Psycho, it's going to be pretty good. All right, anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you feel better, Daniel. I'm going to go practice my swordsmanship skills when we slay the Goblin King. All right, later, everyone.
I actually just laid there longer than I meant to because I felt so bad. Like, the bit was over, but I just needed to take a minute.